Hey ratbags, I'm back today to talk about Grounded and my 400 hours in the game and whether or not you should be playing it and the changes that have gone on with the game that make it one of the best survival games you can try right now. I have done a bunch of reviews for Grounded when it first came out and then one last year to celebrate basically its improvements. And I've always said it's a great game, but 400 hours, that's quite a lot. So I'm going to go through what I really love about the game, the changes they've made, how they've progressed and why they're one of the best development teams out there at the moment with an early access game. So leave a like if you agree, if you disagree, leave a comment and why, and let's go. Announced first back in 2019 November at the Xbox X Games exhibition, Grounded came out of nowhere. It wasn't on my radar, I hadn't seen anything about it, it was a complete secret, and then boom, we got a miniature survival game. One of Grounded's greatest strengths is that it doesn't look like every other survival game. It has got a more cartoony vibe and feel about it, and that sets it apart. For that reason, a lot of people assume it's a kid's game, or maybe it's not really a full-blown survival, it's more like an action-adventure game. But no, Grounded's actually got some of the most complicated and decent survival mechanics you can find in any plethora of other survival games. It borrowed seemingly some of the best bits from others, like the forest blueprint system, as well as a big selection of creatures, and of course lots of gathering resources, building up your armours, getting new weapons. Having covered the games like Ark and Conan and very realistic or ultra gory sometimes games, I was really keen to just play this because it seemed like a bit more of a chill vibe. But like I said, it does have some moments where it turns from just being a cute and cuddly game to something pretty terrifying and horrific. The spiders and the way that the bugs react in this game can give you absolute jump scares. So don't ever dismiss Grounded as something too cute or not a full-blown survival game. It has got some of the best survival mechanics out of any of the survival big hitters, and it's definitely got more of that scare appeal than you would imagine. I was so hyped for this, I immediately started doing as much news videos as I could, and I covered it all the way up until its demo release in 2020. That was swiftly followed by the full early access release, and I had my best month ever with Grounded on the main channel. And that's because the game is just really fun to play. It's got the core elements that I need. I need to craft, I need to grind, I need to go and get a whole bunch of materials, and it needs to take me a while so that I'll get that sense of satisfaction when I've got the stuff I need to make the new armor set or the new weapon. It's got a moderately sized open world filled with all sorts of dungeons and caves and laboratories now, but of course the game was a bit limited when it first launched. After the first 8 to 10 hours you were kind of scratching around wondering what else there was to do once you'd explored the map as it was then. The base building was pretty limited in having only maybe 1 or 2 tile sets, and so everything just became a sea of green. But the devs have added so much over that time. New build sets, more decorations, more ways to place and make different creations with your bases, and that's a big crucial component of survival games. Obviously we've had a whole ton of new areas added, from scorching hot sandboxes to more underground laboratories, wood piles, decks, shed areas and more. The actual playable space now, where it's not just more or less the same stuff, has expanded by at least 50%, and we still got another huge chunk of the yard to come with 1.0. Grounded has done a phenomenal job with content. Pretty much every early access game I've ever played has gone through some big droughts, as they usually are small teams, and Grounded wasn't any different. But they started out incredibly well with updates every single month, and that went on for a good while, giving us new content, new creatures, new armors, new places and much more. But of course any small team will struggle to maintain that over such a long time. And so they switched to a 3-month kind of access, and even this is still better than the vast majority of games out there. Most early access survival games you're lucky to get an update every 5 to 6 months. It's part of the reason why early access works, as long as you accept that you might not be able to play the game completely all the time and just return for the big content drops. But Grounded managed to keep a decent player base. Obviously boosted by the Xbox Games Pass, it meant that players were doing stuff continuously, building bases, making crazy arenas and testing the limits of the game. We would not be able to do them things though if the devs hadn't such a big stable base to build from, and Grounded was one of the best running games I'd played also, and I've played every one under the sun. There weren't as many game breaking bugs in the game, it wasn't coming up with every update seeing your progress wiped. By and large, most of the updates were presented with your characters and worlds intact, and you was able to carry on your progress, and that is something to be said considering so many other games wipe pretty much every few months. The devs have always been really quick to respond to feedback. There are so many community features that have been added, great little quality of life additions and brand new ideas. And again, you take this for granted in a lot of early access survival games, but it doesn't always happen that way. They've been pretty honest and open with content that's coming in. We usually get a look at the stuff before the update, or some of it at least. We have the dev community team streaming every single week, highlighting members of the community, as well as allowing superfans of Grounded to come and hang out and play with them in their Discord streams. That is all fantastic, and it has put them above so many other developers. So hopefully I'm painting the picture for you. You're not going to get a negative review from me here saying that Grounded's got problems or issues. In my opinion, anytime there has been something where feedback's needed, they've took it on board and they've remedied it and fixed it. They've took on board that, in my opinion, the game needed some replayability. Not being able to go through the dungeons more than once, or maybe only able to kill certain enemies but not get any extra rewards, that was a problem for me. But they've added the base defense features now. They've added the mixers where you can take on special horde style events. And while it's definitely been a bit of a bruising time for some players, maybe not expecting this type of content, it's always been there. They said they would work on this, and that to expect some sort of base defenses in the future. I guess that's probably one criticism I would say, that because it's been so long since we've had any of this features added or spoken about, I guess players got too used to the idea of Grounded not having them functions, hence why there might have been a bit more blowback against some of the stuff. And of course, naturally, testing this stuff when something's too OP, when your base is getting wrecked by a bunch of bugs and insects, it can feel a bit like, what are you doing? Take this thing out. But I truly still believe that Grounded absolutely needs these types of mechanics to add replayability to it. So that all came in the latest update, and so of course we haven't got long now to its 1.0 release. July will be their 2-year anniversary, and we're expecting a big announcement in the next few weeks in June maybe for Xbox Bethesda Showcase, and yeah, it's looking likely it will be coming out at some point in this summer or maybe even the winter time. I've lost count how many major updates they've had. They've named them, they've featured them, they've added more bugs, more biomes, more items, upgrade systems, new unlock systems and more. And we've still got so much to come. We still don't have a fully voiced story mode, and we're presuming that's happening since we've got so much dialogue with the kids at the moment. We've got the full story of Wendell, the mad scientist that possibly made us this way, shrinking down to smaller than a spider, and whether or not we'll be able to actually get bigger again in the future. Also, what happened to Wendell and maybe his family. The undershed area, the upper yards, and more revamps possibly to some of the starting areas. Whole host of new bosses, including stuff like maybe a mantis, as well as an ant queen and more. And you get the idea. I'm super excited about it. I'm just glad I've been around for this journey. Like I said, it did the best I'd ever had on my channel, and I'd had some good months up until that point, I really had. But Grounded by far, 10,000 subs in the space of a month, covering mostly just Grounded content. And that's why when I was trying to battle the algorithm gods of YouTube and try and come up with a second channel where I could actually cover more or less one game for a good chunk of time, I decided on Grounded, because it was also just some of the most fun. It's the most accessible, it's got the most info, the devs are communicating, and the player base is mostly chill. There's no try-hard PvPers here, just maybe occasionally a little bit over passionate fans, but by and large the community is great in Grounded. A whole bunch of streamers been supporting the game non-stop. And the game is still attracting the attention from some of the biggest tubers and streamers out there like Blitz and others. Another game dev compared it to a survival RPG game the other day and said that their game would be more survival based, and I almost just laughed inside, because to me survival is absolutely the main feature of Grounded, not the RPG mechanics. Yes, it does have stuff gated off where progression is going to be needed to go through stuff to unlock new weapons or armors, but that's every survival game. I love the fact that they don't have just a generic unlock system, that you have to earn stuff or find the pieces to give yourself upgrades like the teeth, and there's so much more to come. Mounts possibly in the future, maybe more additional backyards or DLC, weather effects, and even more player generated content. The future is extremely bright for Grounded, and I'm going to be there every step of the way on this channel. So thank you so much Obsidian for making one of my top 5 survival games of all time now. I can't wait to see what you're going to deliver with 1.0.